Hey, you guys, welcome again to another video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked out our website, please, our sambatree.com website, please do. We just introduced a brand new product and it's a clay cup. I don't have it in front of me right now, but if you go to our website, you'll see it there. We have all the list of different benefits of using that as a drinking cup. Man, the amount of minerals and stuff that's added to your water, because that's one of the main things about our drinking water is that they take so much out of it. Well, we have things at sambatree.com that will naturally add things back to your drinking water. We have that copper drinking vessel. That's one thing that naturally adds copper to your drinking water. And then we also have this brand new cup that we just introduced. It's a cup. It's made out of clay, 100% natural clay, and it's not lined with anything. It's just clay in of itself. I've been using it for months now, and man, it's really fascinating. We actually talked a little bit about it. I even have a short about it, so check it out. Again, go to the website sambatree.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into what we're going to be talking about in this video. One of the things that I guess that really I like teaching, and I like teaching simple things. I'm not here to impress anybody. I try to make things simple and easy to follow while at the same time not insulting insulting people's intelligence, but really trying to make things plain and clear. And this is something that's sorely needed in the areas of, when we're talking about Christianity, coming out of that, and then also in the area of politics as well. Politics is something that is sorely needed, especially amongst our people, because we have been trained from day one to only react and respond to emotions, fear, anger, excitement, things like that, but never really reading through the dotted line, down to the dotted line, reading the details. Many of you are at least my age, maybe a little bit younger, maybe older. You remember the housing boom of the late 90s, early 2000s, where many of our people jumped in on the opportunity to own a home for the first time. Well, I'll put in that in air quotes, own a home, and put a little asterisk by it because you really weren't owning it in the first place. But you had many people that jumped into the housing market and getting that home that they've been dreaming about with very little of a requirement of you putting anything down. And your interest rate was ridiculously low. Well, in a matter of a few years, the nation got a huge wake up call. And, a lot of people lost their homes, a whole lot of people. The industry went belly up. It was just a total mess. We were living out in California at that time. And yes, it was more so my wife was part of the real estate industry. And the amount of stories she have of people who were, and I'm talking black people now, who were deliberately pushing other black people to sign that line without reading the details. And it was just a horrible thing to witness. I actually interviewed a gentleman some years ago. And I still have the recording too. I thought I've uploaded it on this platform. I'll look for it and see if I can still find it. But this guy, he was actually the person that Congress would go to anytime they had hearings on anything that had to do with real estate. He was that guy that they would interview. That they would have come and give, presentations or whatever to right on Capitol Hill. And it was just this weird way I was able to, he actually reached out to me and yeah, we connected. It wasn't on this platform. It was on another thing I was doing some years ago. And I asked him, and we were talking about, he was actually one of the top trainers of loan officers in the nation. This guy was pretty significant. And I asked him, because the conversation specifically was about the impact that the market at that time was having on black people. And I asked him, I said, now, there's a lot of complaint that's out there in the marketplace right now when it comes to, uh, loan officers taking advantage of the illiteracy, financial illiteracy amongst black people. I said, would you say, based on your experience, that in many of those cases that involve black customers, is it black? Is it? Do you see black loan officers that are at the culprit of that? In other words, are they the ones that are? Do you see them participating in that? And he said, yes, absolutely. So as much as people want to portray it as, oh, the white man, this and that or whatever, now ultimately you got white people that are controlling these different things, but you do have a lot of black folks that know full well what they're doing, and they will sell themselves, they will sell their own children. And this is something that I want people to really understand, this is that this whole notion that I'm rooting for anything black is one of the worst pieces of advices that anyone could give. You know, I feel like my responsibility here is to get people to question everything, you know, and regardless of who it is or where it's coming from, and not to make decisions based on fear or emotions or anything like that, but to really do your utmost most effort, put forth your utmost effort to do your own investigation, to ask those questions, and that's it, you know. And then whatever decision you make, that's your decision, you know, and that's it. But you can walk away and say, at least I did my part to, you know, investigate this thing, instead of just buying into the hype and the fear, you know. We saw this a few years ago with the whole, you know, with the whole jab thing. Many people made the decision to get the jab without going through the details. I mean, these companies, these pharmaceutical companies were so bold. They felt that they didn't even have to tell people the ingredients. And there are videos, there are screenshots of people who actually have because these shots come with a list of ingredients. And when they ask the company, you know, hey, listen, provide us with the list of ingredients, they open it up and it's completely blank. They don't even show them the ingredients and what's put in it. And yet this is something that they were passionately scaring people into. You have to get this thing. And now we're living in the reality of the results of that. And if you look at our community page, you'll see, you know, just a small sampling of the lives that are being lost. We have a platform over on Threema, on the Threema app, where we've been sharing a lot of these stories of real lives that are being lost. We're focusing more on the black lives. That doesn't mean that they're more valuable than white lives or any other lives for that matter. But, you know, just to make it more personable, we've been focusing on that and showing people, hey, listen, these are the real results that are happening because many of our people do not take the time to ask questions, to investigate and all of that. I've seen some of the most smartest people that I've met in my life that just simply just made decisions based on emotion. And unfortunately, there's some really bad things that has happened as a result of that. And so we want to stop that, you know. So today in this video, what we're going to get into, you know, just briefly is just really trying to promote literacy in the area of just very basic politics. Again, as you've been hearing, if you're into the political world or not, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a political nerd because, quite honestly, I try to stay out of it. It was something that I was into some years ago, but it's just, once I realized it's nothing but one big stage and everything's fake in that world and everybody is playing on the same team, I was just like, what's the point? But it is something that I kind of in the back of my mind keep track of. And I was sitting here and I realized, I said, you know, I don't really know that if there are too many of our people who really know of some of these tools that are out here to find out the background of these different politicians and why that is so important. And so in this video, we're going to actually show you those, you know, just one of those tools that have been around for umpteen years. And I really, really do hope you just, even if you're not voting, it's still a good practice to do this, to investigate these things. I'll say one last note and we'll get right to it. Going back to the whole the impact of the jabs, a lot of the information that I have been gathering for that and giving that to our people over on Threema, these are coming from multiple sources. The majority of those sources are coming from white people. And these are people who care enough about their persons, their bodies, and the people and other people in general that have simply got together, made a commitment to say we're going to create our own databases to track what is happening as a result of these shots, and I'm gonna tell you, there are many groups that I'm tracking. You just sign up and you just click on subscribe or whatever, and then boom, you're in and you're able to get that information. I mean, everything from connecting with other medical people, different studies. It could be short videos, interviews, that kind of thing. I mean, they are creating their own repositories when it comes to collecting this information and data for people who really want to know all the information. And I was just sharing with my wife, I said, it's so unfortunate that many of our people, black folks, when it comes to things like this, creating our own databases and tracking these things to measure the effectiveness of it, I don't see a lot of that. I don't see that at all. And something like this, where we got aunties and uncles and grandparents and all that have literally lost their lives, it's just very sad to me that we wouldn't take these kind of initiatives. Now, there was one group that I'm aware of. My wife just told me about the other day. So she sent me the link. So I'm going to join them. That does focus. I think they focus on, I think it's based in Jamaica. So I'm going to subscribe to them and get that information too. But, as much as this system has done things to us, I mean, in terms of experimentation and all these other, and push these different policies, we should at least have our own databases so that we can create so we can keep track of all this stuff, so that we are responding and reacting to based on knowledge, real knowledge, instead of just emotion. You know what I mean? You go from talking about P. Diddy, now all of a sudden we got to vote or die. You know what I mean? And it's, that's, we need, our mindset need to be in the data. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we're about here. That's what we want our people to do, regardless if we're talking about politics, if we're also talking about religion or whatever. We got to be in the actual factual data and not just mere emotion and habits that we've been doing for umpteen years. So anyway, so we're going to get right into it here. So there's so I'm just going to jump and show you some of the videos of these different politicians that have, I'll just bring it up on the screen as I'm talking to you here. This is Jasmine Crockett. You guys have seen her, and she's a representative congresswoman out of Texas. And I'm gonna play her video here, but there was a video there's an act that was just passed by Congress called the SAVE Act. Now, the SAVE Act basically is simply the main focus of it is that only legalized citizens can vote in the election. Okay. She's not going to be talking about that, but the other people that will follow will be. But I want to play this video first so that you can hear what she's saying. She's more or less talking about Project 2025 here. I want you to listen to her language that she's using here. Okay. Let's go ahead and play it.
Right now, what they are trying to do is institute Nazism 2.0 in the United States. And guess what? It's going to be us that's going to be on the receiving end of all of it. So I could go on and on and on about the terrible things that are in there. But the basis of it, they're saying it has to be Christianity. And the fact is, everything has to be really Christo-fascism. And so what they're trying to do is say, if you're not doing it our way, then you can't do it right.
Okay, so that's it. There's a lot of jumbledness that she's saying here, and she's not providing any tangible information. So there's a lot of like red flag words that she's using, such as Nazism 2.0. Okay, So anytime in the political world you use the word Nazi, the worst case scenario, of course, is going to come to people's minds. What was in Nazi Germany? We had concentration camps. What's the other thing that comes to people's mind? Gas chambers. What's the other thing comes to people's mind is the night of broken glass, where they went in and just randomly just started shooting up a whole ghetto, where they had people tagging people and, and so that they can identify them as either Jews or non-Jews. What else you had in Nazism? You had businesses that were taken down. I mean, there's a whole list of things that we can go through. So anytime when people hear the word Nazi, I don't care if it's coming from Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter. It puts the worst case scenario in the mind of the listener / viewer. What she's talking about when it comes to Project 2025, again, we have covered that. We've talked about this on this platform. Project 2025, I'm not here to defend it. I'm not a Republican, Democrat. They can both go straight to hell as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm not defending either side here. Okay, but we do believe in looking at the data, looking at the actual points. And we went right to the source. We went to the Heritage Foundation, listened to exactly what is in the actual Project 2025. Ooh, the scary project here. And so what you'll find is that basically their strategy is that they looked into Washington, D.C., the bureaucracy and how Washington, D.C. has been set up for a very long time. And what they have discovered, and these are just studies that have been done that I have seen outside of the Heritage Foundation, is that, and Democrats or liberals will agree to this, that the majority of the people that make up the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. tend to lean to the left. So if you have a left-leaning or even a right-leaning, it doesn't matter, but in this case, a left-leaning bureaucracy, that means that the wheels are going to turn at the benefit of that particular ideology. And so that also means that, contributions, financial contributions coming from the federal level are going to benefit that bureaucracy. Okay. So what Project 2025 is basically, okay, well, we're going to change the left-leaning bureaucracy to a right-leaning one. And that's it. They're just changing seats on the Titanic. And there's going to be, just like on the left-leaning side, there's things that some people agree with, other things you don't agree with. It's the same thing with the Republicans. There's going to be things you disagree with. There's going to be things you agree with. But what we pointed out is, regardless of who's controlling the bureaucracy in this country, as a black person, what you have to understand is that this system is a company. Okay, the United States is a company, and we're going to show you the receipts. We're going to get right into the details so that you can see for yourself that that's what it is. It's a company. So anytime politicians like this open their mouths, you're not really hearing them. They are simply an echo chamber of the people that contribute to them the most. And you need to see this with your own eyes so that you can understand. And so this is what you're hearing. So her talking about Nazism 2.0. Anytime you hear, regardless of who the politician is, you always got to ask yourself, why? Why are you pushing these policies? Why is this so important to you? Why do you feel this passionately about this? You always got to ask that question, the why. And this is something that has been lost. And I would say in many cases, maybe we've never had it in the first place. Is because when you're someone that's ruled by your emotions, you'll never ask the why. You just go with it. And so, her pushing this whole Nazism 2.0 and, they're going to come for us and all this other stuff. Well, they've already come for us. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter. You got Republicans and Democrats. They're both controlled by the same lobbyists, the same industries and all that stuff. So she's one, and we're going to actually use her as an example, and we're going to get to and there's someone else, another politician that we're going to look at. I think I set aside like 3 politicians that we're going to look at. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue here, and let me pull up these other videos here as soon as I can get them here on the screen here. I'm just scrolling down right now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first person you're going to hear now, these are Democrats that are pushing for open borders. Basically, they are giving their speech, their talk or whatever on the dangers of this whole thing, the dangers of this act that was just passed regarding allowing illegals, people who enter this country illegally, to vote. And so these black politicians are not happy with that. So we're going to play, I'm just going to go through the videos real quick, and they're very short clips. So let's take a listen here. Okay?
Only citizens.
Sorry, y'all. Let me get this up on the screen, and so we can take a listen here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the first person you're going to hear is we see on the screen, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Let's take a listen.
Citizens can vote for the United States Senate. Only citizens can vote for the presidency of the United States. So this extreme MAGA Republican voter suppression bill is not designed to solve any problem on behalf of the American people. It is designed to jam people up and prevent Americans from voting. The extreme MAGA Republican voter suppression candidates.
How is keeping people who are not in this country legal, who are not in this country legally to vote? How is that preventing people who are legal to vote? How is that even possible? That doesn't even make any sense. And so, but this is what they're saying. So we're going to look at his background too. All right.
Hypotheticals. It is under attack right now, right here with this very bill. Republicans want to throw up barriers because when people vote, they lose. Let me be clear. They don't want you to vote. They don't want to hear black voices, brown voices, LGBTQIA voices, young voices. Our fundamental access to our democracy is being politicized. And this xenophobic attack that we're debating today will make it harder for Americans to vote. My Republican colleagues will claim that requiring IDs is a small ask, but nearly 30 million people lack a valid driver's license, and about 15 to 18 million adults don't have access to documents proving their birth or citizenship. Americans don't need more obstacles. It's already hard enough.
Let's stop right there for a second. So number one, just hearing from these two people, we got two more that we're going to hear from, but let's be very clear here. Number one, black Americans, legal black Americans do not have a problem today with voting. Let's just call it out. Okay. There is not any black Americans that I'm aware of that have a problem. If they are legal in this country, they don't have a problem with, they can go to any poll station when it's during election season and they can actually go and vote. This is not Jim Crow. We're not living in the 1920s. We're not living in the 1800s. Black folks that are in this country legally have the right to vote. And if there is any real issues that pop up, we have a legal system that's in place that will immediately call that out. And then whoever needs to get canned for that, they will. And that goes on both sides, because you got people who also will, stuffing voter bags and stuff like that, who are participating in that. Those people get called out too. I did an interview with the attorney general of, it was a county down in Alabama. This was back some years ago. We were talking about this as far as voter suppression in Alabama. Is a very rural part of Alabama. And he was talking about how you have Democrats that are black Democrats that are going to these poor black areas, and they're making deals with the locals. Like, say, for example, if someone has, for example, like a driveway that's not paved, and they've been, if you live in a rural area, sometimes, you may be dealing with, you kind of deal with the fact that you have a driveway that's unpaved. Maybe it's a shared access, kind of situation. But you're like, dang, man, I just don't have the money to, pave this road. And so what he was saying, according to him, was that in some cases, you have some of these political operatives that will say, listen, if we can get your vote, if you promise to give us your vote, we will actually pave this for you. He was giving all the details on this, on how it works as far as Democrats. And he also said even Republicans do this too. And so notice the language that she's using here. She's saying they don't want to hear from black voices. They don't want to hear from brown voices. They don't want to hear. Then she added the LGBTQ. Here we go. Then she had to add all of that in here. The thing that really pisses me off about this is the fact that these politicians, these black politicians, are using the same arguing points that we use as black people so that we can get the right to vote. And now they're projecting it on other people. And I don't know who is saying or suggesting that LGBT people can't vote. I don't know who's saying that. So she just pulled that out of like a magician, rabbit out of her hat or wig or whatever she got on. But nobody's saying that LGBTQ people can't vote. And as far as brown people, well, that depends. Well, you got black and brown people that enter into this country illegally too. The point is that when you have people that enter this country illegally, and you allow them to vote, it has a direct impact on the people who are here legally. And I'm gonna show you some clips on that so you can hear from the people themselves, that what I just said is true. So let's continue. We got 2 more politicians that we're going to hear from.
To investigate claims of voter fraud by non-citizens was disbanded without identifying one single case. If we believe in the power of democracy, we should reject discriminatory rules rooted in fear and division and instead increase protections and expand access. This bill, they call it the SAVE Act. It should be called the Don't Let Americans Act. Don't Let Americans Vote Act. And so I rise here opposing and asking my colleagues to vote no on this bill.
Again, they keep saying Don't Let Americans Vote Act. What the heck are you even talking about? The bill specifically is targeting people who are not Americans, people who are entering this country illegally. Do you not understand that you got people that are coming as far as like in Europe? You got people coming from China that are coming through the southern border. Those are not Americans. These are foreigners that are coming in here. That's like me going to China and expecting that and being there for a day and then the following day expecting the right to vote. Nobody expects that. OK, but there's a reason behind this that I'm going to try to touch on in this video. And I really do hope you listen to that. OK, so let's go.
And to advance it. John Lewis didn't give up, and neither will we. Mr. Speaker, House Republicans' so-called SAVE Act is a dangerous anti-democratic bill that has no place on this floor. It is for that reason that at the appropriate time, I will be offering a motion to recommit this bill back to the committee. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting the motion to recommit. Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Okay, so again, I mean, as you listen to some of these people here, they don't even sound like legitimate. They don't even sound like it doesn't sound personable. You know what I mean? They literally are reading from something. And so, and in some cases, what you'll find is when you hear these people, like I said, we just saw a lot of these people are reading. They didn't even put that together. They have a whole committee, or they have their own group of people that put the talking points together in their speeches. And like I said, if you think for one moment these people are writing their own stuff, no, these speech writers are actually on their teams, put this stuff together, and and the speech writers get the information from the contributors, people who are financially contributing to them. And then so that they know exactly what to put into the speech. And all they're doing is getting a script and they're getting right up there and they're reading it. That's how this works. So if you think these people are speaking from their heart, they're not. OK, so anyway, let me move on here. And because like I said, I'm going to show you guys in a moment here. This particular tool has been around for umpteen years, but I do know that many of our people aren't aware of this. OK, so if you are aware of it, I'm glad, but there are numbers who are not. Let me see if I have one more politician that I can share with you. If not, I'm going to go back to that, the video that I wanted to share with you. Let's see. Do I have another one? All right, let's see. I'm just still looking here. I think that's probably enough there. I think you got enough examples there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let me share with you this video. This is coming out of Chicago. All right. And this video is actually one that I think happened, I want to say last year. I want to say last year, this video came out. This is a video of a in Chicago. What was happening in the local level is that they're busing in all of these different illegals into black communities and forcing these black communities to kind of basically to lose some of the benefits and stuff that they had so that these illegals can get those benefits. What is happening now is basically a move of replacement. Black Americans are literally being replaced. That's what's happening politically. This is why they have so many of these illegals coming into this country, because you, as a black American, politically are being replaced. Don't believe me? Look at how many black women are pushing for Kamala Harris to be really the next president. Kamala Harris is a Jamaican. She's part Jamaican. Her dad was actually part of the upper echelon class of Jamaicans who kind of looked down on the other Jamaicans. That was her dad. Her mother is East Indian. So she is not an African American. In fact, someone did a screen capture of 2 articles from the AP. One said America's what did she become? Was she congresswoman, or was she? Forgot what she was, but they said America has its first Indian American, whatever she was, attorney general, whatever she was in California. America has its first Indian American, whatever she was there. And then when she became vice president, America has its first African American. It was both by the AP. This is what they were pushing. But anyway, let me get to this video here. And let me share with you real quick. Now, what you're looking at right now, this is in Chicago. They said over 600 black residents showed up in Chicago to protest their youth program being closed down to house illegal immigrants. And you can just watch the video here. I don't think anybody's talking, but let's take a listen. So these are all black students, youth, that have an outlet playing football, and they're shutting it down so that they can make room for the illegals. This is what's happening. Okay, so that's one example there. All right. I also want to play for you. I know people are kind of mixed on the personality of Umar Johnson, and we don't have to get into any other details about, other things or projects he's working on, because I don't give a rip about that. But when you hear truth, truth is truth, and that's it. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. But I want you to listen to what he is saying here. Let's see. I'm trying to see which one he is, which one I'm gonna play here. Okay, so I'll play this one here. And, so I want you to listen here. But what he's saying here isn't a lie at all.
When Donald Trump.
Okay, hold on. Let me get this up here. All right, go.
Said during the debate that Joe Biden is taking black jobs and giving them to migrants. He was correct. Although he didn't say it because he cared about us, but he's right. When people say, what do you mean by black jobs? Get out your bougie feelings and deal with the reality. 1/3 of black men have a felony. So there's a lot of jobs they will never qualify for. They are mostly what? Essential workers, warehouse, trucking, security. And a lot of those jobs are going to who? The migrants. So that's what he meant by black jobs. We got to stop being so sensitive and look at the reality of it. I was reading a report the other day. They said the Latinos taking over the construction jobs. They taking them over. And the low industry work, like your gardening, your landscaping, completely taking it over.
That's right. Again, he's not advocating Trump, neither am I. But the facts are the facts. This is what's happening for real in the real world. Okay? So it's not about, oh, you got to vote for Trump. That's why you got to vote for Trump. I don't care who you vote for. But this is the trend that's happening. Okay, let me just say something before I get to the next clip here. Is that here you have, even though the Republicans, because let's tell the truth about the Republicans. Republicans had Trump in office for 4 years. They had all the opportunity in the world to build the wall. They never did, you know. And you have certain countries, states that had all the resource to stop the flow of immigration to come into their states, but they didn't stop it. This was under a Republican president, a Republican governor in some cases, the whole nine. They didn't stop it. Why? Because all of these people that they're bringing in, that they're allowing to come right on into this country, they're going right to those chicken factories. They're going to these different meat processing companies. They're going to the fields. They're going to all of these places, and they are doing these jobs. They're doing all these jobs. And what's happening is, again, they're replacing the people who used to have those jobs. And it's not just black people. You have a lot of rural white people who had those jobs as well, but they're being replaced. So again, we are in fact dealing with a replacement movement right now. And it's big business that cares about, they are fully invested in this at the end of the day. It's big business. Okay. So it doesn't, and big business controls both sides. So it doesn't matter. You understand? So let me play this other clip here that that's here too. Let's listen.
Bottom line is, when Joe Biden got elected, he said he wanted to fast track 4 million undocumented residents to full citizenship. Black people completely ignored it. I spoke on it. I said, do you know why he want to fast track 4 million? Because he know he's not going to do nothing for us. We ain't going to be motivated to vote for him in November. So what he's going to do is have these migrants already set up with citizenship so they can replace the black vote that he loses. The migrants are being put in our communities on purpose, New York and Chicago on purpose, because they are what? The two blackest cities in America. They're the two largest cities in America. They're the two most politically conscious black communities in America. So if we can wash out the black with the brown in New York, if we can wash out the black with the brown in Chicago, Philly don't stand a chance. Atlanta don't stand a chance. LA, Houston, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago don't stand a chance. The migrants are here for 3 reasons. Replace us at the polls, replace us at the low-end industry jobs. They're not the enemy. The problem is black people don't get as much opportunity. So then people say, well, you know, white people don't really like brown people like that. That's true. But you know what the difference is? They don't have the burden of accountability with them that they have with us. We built the country. So every time they look at us or deal with us, the bottom line is y'all brought them here and they built y'all into what y'all are. They don't have to say that to the Venezuelans. They don't have to say that to the Colombians. They don't have to say that to the Mexicans. So although they don't like brown, they would much rather deal with them than the black, because with the black, there is a white man's burden that you owe them restitution for 246 years of unpaid labor. Now let's look at what Eric Adams is doing over there in New York. A family of 4 is getting $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month. Do you know that that's more than what some of the veterans are getting with a child? They're getting more money than veterans who served in the military. Not only that, they're getting free food stamps, free child care, and permanent housing. Although New York City has a black homelessness rate no less than 35%. So you got black people who pay taxes living on the street, and you got migrants who ain't paid a single tax in their life eating and living better than the black people who built the country. If I was talking to Eric Adams and Brandon Johnson of Chicago, I would ask them something. What is the Democratic Party giving you guys that you're willing to sacrifice your political future to push this migrant agenda? Because I don't see how they get reelected by black folks. I don't see how. And if your city goes to the migrants, you can best believe the migrants ain't electing no black person to mayorship. So you're literally dying on your sword for the Democratic Party. Do you know that New York City has spent $1.5 billion on the migrant crisis so far? It's projected that this year, 2023 was $1.5 billion to take care of the migrants. $1.5 billion. 2024 and 2025, they said it will cost New York City $9 billion. Chicago has spent about $350 million this year on the migrant crisis, and that's expected to quadruple. And you know what was so disrespectful about Chicago with regard to Brandon Johnson? Remember all them schools they shut down in Chicago because they said they couldn't afford to operate them? They opened them up. Not only did they open them up, they renovated them. Turned them into apartments for migrants, so you sleep upstairs, go to school downstairs. Bottom line.
Okay, so you heard that. There's a lot in there, but you know, you can go back and listen to that yourself. And this is the final clip here. This is like a minute and 17.
How is it that you ain't got money for jobs for black people, which is a big reason why you got so much crime? You got all these homeless black people in Chicago, but you can take care of the migrants before you take care of black people. And that's why I'm hoping that Black Chicago organizes, just like co-founder of the Black Panther Party, Bobby Seale did at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Bobby Seale turned up and turned it out with the Black Panthers. I hope Chicago doesn't let President Biden and Vice President Harris come there, because you know the Democratic National Convention is in Chicago, right? August 19th through August the 21st. I hope Black Chicago don't let the Democrats come to your city where they have bred this migrant crisis and y'all don't do nothing about it. And I'm going to tell you who else needs to stand up and show out. Milwaukee. Even though they don't have a migrant crisis like Chicago and New York, the Republican convention is in Milwaukee next Monday, this coming Monday. And guess what? Milwaukee, black people are the largest ethnic group. Unlike Chicago, it's white, Hispanic, black. Milwaukee is black, white, Hispanic. But guess what? Milwaukee has one of the worst black male graduation rates in America. So I'm hoping that black Wisconsin goes to that Republican National Convention and exercise their First Amendment rights to peacefully assemble and protest. But don't let them come to your city after causing all these problems.
And then you know where you're going with that. So, I mean, he's not lying. And see, this is what we're talking about, is these particular details here. So you got these different politicians that are out here trying to scare people and trying to, Project 2025. And then when you ask the average person, okay, what does that actually mean? The details now. The details. Give me the details of it. Don't give me the highlight points. Give me the actual details and go through it. They can't do that. They can only do, all they can do is, it's going to be Nazism 2.0. That's all they can repeat. Okay, what exactly does that mean? What exactly does that mean? Nazism 2.0. What exactly does that mean, especially for black people? What does that mean for black people? Because Nazism 1.0 was targeting primarily Jewish people, not black people. Now, there were black people that did get somewhat caught up in that were over there, but by and large, it was one target for that, and it wasn't us. So I don't understand how it's tied to us on that, but anyway. So anyway, let's move on here. So what I want to show you, you know what? Let me give you these, and these are some other videos here. Oh shoot, my bad. Let me pull these up here so you can hear more from the people. I don't know about y'all, but this YouTube that allows you to mouse over and watch the videos, I do that. Because I don't like going through the ads and all that. This is just my way of bypassing the ads sometime. Let's take a listen to some of the people, and this is just in Chicago, all right, that are talking about the whole migrant situation. So I'm just going to mouse over this and just take a listen.
Frustration, anger, and confrontations all on display as neighbors in Woodlawn gather to talk about what they call big problems at a nearby migrant shelter. New at 10, CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov takes us through what happened.
Let them talk so they have a voice.
A call for order during a heated meeting at Woodlawn's Apostolic Church of God.
Who's helping me?
The focus, this migrant shelter in the old Wadsworth Elementary School.
I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what goes on.
What's going on, according to community members, is loitering, late-night partying, littering, prostitution, and at least one fight between migrants and residents.
It got a little heated. Objects got thrown.
But many of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance for the disruptive behavior by those seeking asylum here. It's making them feel unsafe.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
And their patience is wearing thin.
Let me say this. They got one more time to deal with it, because otherwise, next time they deal with it, they're going to deal with it from the streets. We're going to take over it. Nobody's going to be able to stop us from what we're going to do to them.
Much of the residents' anger was directed at city officials in attendance, including 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, Chicago Deputy Police Chief Stephen Chung, and Family and Support Services Commissioner Brandy Kanazi. At one point, police had to intervene, breaking up an argument during public comments.
And that absolutely is a problem.
And Alderwoman Taylor says she's now seen some of them firsthand.
The people who are keeping up the trouble are the people who are kicked out of the damn shelter.
All of the city officials here at this meeting promise that they are working for solutions to make the area around the shelter better for the neighborhood and consequences for those asylum seekers who are found to be breaking the rules or the law.
Here's another one.
Emotional outbursts, at times so heated, police had to step in. We're talking about city council today and a vote to spend $51 million on helping migrants here in Chicago. CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kosloff was there for all the action, and Dana, strong feelings all around.
Yeah, Erica, and for many different reasons, among them the fact that this $51 million approved today is only a short-term fix, and more money will be needed in just weeks.
We cannot continue to falsely pit communities against one another.
Deep emotional wounds coming to the surface.
As Black people who have been hurt continuously by the city and country it loves, it ain't our responsibility to take care of everybody else.
And anger.
We don't want to have to recall anybody. We don't want to have to protest anybody, but we are not going to be ignored, Brandon. Mayor Johnson.
Many in Chicago's Black community and the city council speaking out against spending $51 million to house migrants, asking when will the help for them finally become a reality.
And it cannot be put on the backs of the residents of Chicago without showing them that they're getting something.
But see, here's the thing too. Then you got Obama, who's moving he got his whole library, you know, and you remember he had to go through some stuff too, because he was the Obama library, it was being built in an area, I believe that it was either a park, it was something that was already there. And that's why it took so long for them to actually start laying the groundwork for it. But Black folks at the same time, we will worship somebody like that who contributed to this mess in the first place. So there's more videos here, I mean, of residents in different cases here. I'll play this one right quick.
Alternative spaces, but people were upset. The mayor and other elected alternative spaces, but people were upset. The mayor and other elected leaders have not talked to them or come up with other solutions.
You're not going to continue to play in our faces to make us think that you are hearing us and that you're listening to us, all the while you're still going ahead with your plan.
This is our community. We are not going to stand for this. A kid shouldn't have to go up to Lubbock School for the program. Our park is right here. And not only just the park, our community is affected by this.
We reached out to the Parks District to see.
Okay. All right. So I think you kind of get the idea there, what we're, you know, and this is just Chicago. One day I will do a video just on Chicago, period, and why Chicago is the political talking point, and has been that. I will say that Chicago and the problems that exist in Chicago are there intentionally. It's there intentionally because it serves a lot of political purpose for both sides. That's why Chicago and everything attached to it still exists, because a lot of people benefit from the problems. Anytime you see problems, that persistent systemic problems anywhere, the only reason why they persist is not that there's no solutions, it's because somebody's benefiting from it. That's why they persist. Otherwise, this stuff could have been solved a long time ago. But one day I'll talk about that, and then, you know, maybe pitch some ideas on it that I've had. I'm actually jotting down and all of that right now. But anyway, let me get to the main thing here, the final thing, I guess, that I want to bring to your attention here. And this is just a tool that you can use here. Okay. And the name of this tool, if you haven't heard about it or used it, it's called opensecrets.org. That's the name of the website. Again, it's called opensecrets.org. It's a nonprofit. And this is a page that you can go to, that any politician, U.S. politician, you can go here and you can you'll be able to look and see who their main contributors, their financial backers, and all of that. And then you'll also be able to see a breakdown of those individual organizations, those political action committees, those PACs. You'll be able to see who they are, you know, so it gives you a good drill down of the money that is behind a lot of these politicians. And so you remember what I was saying earlier in this video, when you hear these politicians speak, they are not speaking for you. They are speaking on the behalf of those who are the big contributors behind them. So don't think if you're a grandma that you gave your $2 or your $20 that politician is keeping in mind that $20. No, the more money you give, the more weight you have on that politician's platform. Okay, so you giving $5, $2, $20, $50 or whatever, ain't nobody really thinking about that. Okay, and you don't really have any weight in that. So anyway, so we're gonna look at. I have I think I have 3 politicians here. We're going to look at it very quickly just to give you an idea so that you can see how this tool works. Okay, so it's opensecrets.org. All you do is go up here to the top to the search box here, right here, and you can type in the name of the politician, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. And so they give you, so right now we're on the summary page. It gives you a breakdown of just the summary. It tells you here top industry contributions came from the securities and investment sector. All right. And then top contributor for this candidate, for this politician, guess what? Pro-Israel America. Well, that's a whole package deal right there, because Israel trains the cops. Israel also is responsible for the anti-BDS legislation. And that is that if you are a business that has a contract with the city or state and you say anything what they consider derogatory towards the state of Israel, you can lose your contract. So this man, this politician, basically his top contributor is a pro-Israel PAC. All right. So anyway, so, and then here it goes. It gives you kind of a breakdown of it right here. Pro-Israel, the top contributor is Pro-Israel America PAC. Then it starts getting into some of these other ones here that are a bit obscure a little bit. You got to look these up individually. This one called Vote Sane PAC. It gives you how much they gave. NORPAC. Here's another one. America Israel Public Affairs Committee. And then Paul Weiss. So this man has, when I tell you he is on the Rolodex of the Jewish community, he very much is so. So when you're hearing him speak, you're not hearing from black folks. You're hearing from these different individuals here. And then they break it down by industry, securities and investment, pro-Israel, real estate, lawyers, law firm, lobbyists. I'm going to talk about some of those and why do you see some of these coming up outside of Israel. Okay. Let me see. So we're on the summary page. Let me see here. PACs, contributor. It gives you a lot. Okay, so we'll go here. Agribusiness, communications, electronics, construction, defense. So this is why these black politicians are very silent when it comes to the war or fake war, whatever you want to call it, in Ukraine, and how Biden is just dumping all kinds of billions of dollars over there. This is why they're not saying anything, because they are on the bankrolls of these defense contractors. Energy and natural resources, finance, insurance, real estate, health, lawyers, lobbyists. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then it goes on. Okay. So some of these on the top end, this is the whole point of a political action committee, is to make it sound very obscure but very innocent, as if it's just, hey, finance, insurance, real estate, and what's wrong with that, health and all of that? What, that's all innocent, right? But inside these PACs are different other entities that are very known for not being our friend. I'll just put it that way. Okay, so now we're going to look at Jasmine Crockett, and then I'm gonna use this opportunity to get into more of the details of some of these things that we see popping up with these individuals here. So she has Miller Weisbrod Olesky. Okay, Olsky. Sorry. This is an attorney. Okay, and it's a very large one, significant one down in Texas. Home Depot, American Association for Justice, Cardinal Health, Pack to the Future, law firm, AME Church. They're all the way down here. You got Airbus Group, Cohen Rothschilds, and some of these other ones here. Okay, so let's kind of take our time here with this particular one here. Now, there's an article that I found. Is this the article here? Let me see. Yeah. This was in Vox, but there's other many articles that you will find. It was even an interview that I was considered playing for you guys that talk about why there's so many lawyers in politics. And this is just gives you an idea of just how many lawyers are in the political world. You can see in the U.S. political world, as you can see, is very high in comparison to other nations. It's ridiculously high. So this whole Mr. Smith goes to Washington, where it's just some innocent, guy that just tired of the system and he wants his voice to be heard and all of that. No. It's not that. You got to be someone that's well connected. So you either got to be a millionaire or you got to be a lawyer. And this article kind of talks into that. Let me see where I can start reading here. Let's see. Candidates should expect to depend almost exclusively on personal acquaintances to raise the early funders needed to jumpstart their campaign. Second, success in funding early is seen as a crucial test of campaign viability by donors outside the candidate's personal network. On the other hand, even the most compelling candidates will struggle to keep pace if their personal networks are devoid of anyone who fits the typical profile of a political donor. They're talking about, well, you get out of that what you can get out of that. They're just telling them, basically what to expect there. Lawyers are not typical Americans. They said Bonica argues that lawyers contribute to inequality by enabling tax loopholes and marginalizing the need for affordable legal services, and says that the legal system has been increasingly implicated in driving inequality. So when you see a lot of these lawyers, when you're going through these people's group, their contributors, and you see like the Pittman Law Firm and some of these other law firms and stuff, the legal groups that are contributing to these politicians, the reason behind it is so that they can continue the legal loopholes that benefit them and their profession and not benefit the regular guy. So again, people like this individual here, Jasmine Crockett, when you hear her speak, she may sound like she's relating to you, but in reality, everything that's coming out of her mouth, even down to the speeches that she gives, the appearances that she gives, they're all sponsored by Home Depot, Truist Financial, American Association for Justice, Cardinal Health. That's what you're hearing. That's what you're hearing when you listen to these people. And here's another person here. This is Terry Sewell, National Association of Realtors. I have an article on that too. Why are realtors so heavy in the NAR? They're very heavily in the lobbying in the political world. And the reason why, again, is because of the fact that they get favors for, so that they can build pretty much where they want. They can change real estate laws, rental laws. And I would even argue that they probably work hand in hand with major money groups like BlackRock, because as you know, BlackRock, one of their strategies for America, at least, is to turn all of these communities into rental communities, not just in the black community, but all over. Like where we live here in Arizona, you have numbers of new communities that are being built that are rental. They're built, they're homes, but they're built to be rental communities. I was trying to see, because one of these politicians, they actually had BlackRock as one of their contributors. We're just looking through her right here. American Israel Public Affairs Committee. And what you do as you're going through these things, what you would do is actually, if you're not familiar or, you want to learn more about who these people are and who these groups are, just highlight and do a Google search for them. Some information is going to be very easy. You can easily find it. You can easily pull it up. While some others, it's going to be very shady. You're not going to really be able to find too much information on it. And that should let you know, give you a good idea of, are these people really speaking for you, or are they speaking for, these companies? And again, if you want to know what these people, when they're getting up here, when they're speaking about open borders, for example, The reason why they're speaking for open borders isn't because of black interests. They're speaking for open borders because their businesses, these businesses, benefit from it. Do you understand what I'm saying? They benefit from open borders, and so this is why they're doing this. Now, very, very quickly, I've talked about this in other videos, but I'll just briefly mention it again, is that we have actually looked at, and others as well, when you look at a lot of these open border organizations, not just here in the United States, but also abroad, you'll find that many of them are led by Jewish people. And that's a whole nother conversation. But in short, many of them are leading the charge for these open border stuff because it falls in line with their belief system in Judaism and all of this stuff. And just the quick version of it is basically what they teach and what they believe is that when their Messiah come, he's looking for one pure bloodline, and that's their bloodline. But as far as everyone else is going to be mixed breed, so to speak, right? And so this is one of their motivating factors. And if someone wants to challenge me on it, that's perfectly fine. I can give you in their words exactly what they, where they're getting all this stuff from. I can give you everything. I mean, and I'm not gatekeeping. You can look this stuff up yourself. So this is why they promote this so much. Whereas in Israel, even though you do have, Ethiopians that go over there, you may have some Somalians going over there, but by and large, they stay to their own. Whereas in these other countries, especially here in the United States, they push this whole, illegal immigration 100%. And then you see it in the ads, you see it in the movies, you see it all over the place. Well, who controls the ad companies? Who control these videos? Who control these movies and all that? Well, I can't say it on this plantation, right? Europeans are having the same issue. They're saying the same thing. You understand? So you have to, if you're going to engage in politics, my encouragement to you is don't just run with the hashtag Project 2025 nonsense, okay? Because you're not even getting a fifth of the story. You need to dig deeper, and going to tools like this, like Open Secrets, or there's some other ones out there too that you can take a look at. But Open Secrets is a pretty good source that you can look at. What it does, it helps you to understand, okay, when I'm hearing these different politicians, who am I actually hearing? Am I hearing from the people, or am I hearing from these businesses? And all of them, it doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans, they are all speaking on behalf of their sponsors. They're not speaking on behalf of grandma who struggles and takes the small bus to get to the polling station and drop her vote. They're not speaking for grandma. They'll make her feel like she's being spoken for, but she's not. It's the people that put the money into their pockets, and that's businesses. Because the United States, remember the analogy I gave you, the United States is one big super mall filled with a bunch of smaller stores, okay? And you just happen to wake up in the food court, which, by the way, that ain't even owned by you either. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this. We'll be, as the days and the weeks and the months go on, we'll be talking more and more about, politics. But again, just to be very clear here, we're not picking any side or anything like that. If politics is something you want to engage in, that's good. Then go for it. But if you're going to engage in politics, you have to understand it from a business perspective. It is not a left versus right thing. As much as they want to push that on you, that is not the case at all, because both sides are being funded by the same people. There was one in particular here. Let me see. I had it up and I took it down, but there's one in particular. There was a few that I can point to you right now where they were actually, it showed that how they were given to both sides. I mean, literally they contributed to both people. And so I can't find it right now. I ain't gonna even bother right now. But they give the both. They give the Democrats and they give the Republicans. So some of those PACs that I just mentioned to you, they're not just giving the Democrats, they're also giving the Republicans. You understand what I'm saying? So please, if you're going to engage in this, you have to understand it from that. So don't allow these people, these fools and idiots and clowns, try to scare you into doing something that ultimately ain't going to matter anyway. You should be familiar. You should familiarize yourself with how the system works so that you can get a better understanding on the decisions you need to make for you and your family in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. But I can assure you again that regardless of how you vote, at the end of the day, the policies and the agendas of the people behind both sides are still going to march on. It doesn't matter who's in office. It really doesn't. And the very fact that you have people that are pushing for Biden to stay in office, you can already see this man barely walks or barely speaks at this point. And then you got people like Joy Reid saying, listen, I don't care if they got to wheel him on a skateboard. I don't care. What they are acknowledging to people who aren't even listening is the fact that he doesn't run anything anyway. And it's not just Biden. The same can be said about Trump. The same thing can be said about Obama. Same thing can be said about Bush, going back to Clinton and going on further and further on. You know, Trump, he actually met with I forgot the woman's name, but she's a billionaire. And basically she said, listen, I'm going to give you this amount of money, but you're going to have to agree that you're going to do this, this, and this when it comes to Israel. Well, guess who took the bag? So when you hear these politicians that may say a lot of things that may resonate with you, understand that they don't care about you. And that's just it. So don't fall for it. And just make sure you investigate, ask questions. Nothing's going to happen to you personally if you don't vote a certain way. That's a big lie that they push all the time to make people feel guilty. And for goodness sake, don't fall for the nonsense about, you know, if you don't vote, then your slave ancestors are going to rise up from the dead and slap you in the face nonsense, because none of that is true at all. OK, they are the whole point of the left versus right nonsense is to make people feel as if you are actively controlling the fate of this country. But you're not. OK, let me say that again. You are not. You're not. The people that are controlling the fate of this country are the people that have the money. And the people who have the money are not going to give that up simply because they're in their fields and they're looking out of their window and see your Paul Black behind marching in the street. They're not thinking about that. They already done moved on. Now they're in the AI universe, and the AI is going to replace everybody. Okay, so that's how that works. So anyway, that's it. I think I covered enough here. If you have any questions or things like that, you can always feel free to post that in the comment section, and there you go. Okay, so again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time in the next video. Take care.